You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
Packers Talk.
You're listening to No Huddle Radio on the Packers Talk Radio Network, your home for in-depth and thoughtful Packers analysis. I'm your host, Gil Martin. My co-host is my good friend, Sean Tehan. In addition to this show, I write for the PackersPost.com and Cheesehead TV. Sean was a TV sportscaster in Minnesota. We're all here to talk Packers because you're all here for one thing, and that's a love for Green Bay football. Sean, how you doing today?
Well, I would be doing better if the Milwaukee Brewers are playing better baseball right now, Gil. But hey, that's like, we're not here to talk about the Brewers baseball. We're here to talk about Packers football. And for those wanting to see the Packers in person, well, Wisconsin's own Ticket King, they can help you out. They sponsor our show for over 30 years. Ticket King has been providing Packer tickets to Packer fans, as well as Bucks, Brewers, and Summerfest tickets. Find them on the web at theticketking.com. That's theticketking.com, or visit their locations in Green Bay and Milwaukee. And again, if you're watching with us on YouTube, you can see the link right there on your screen, theticketking.com. And while you're watching on YouTube, click on the bell, turn the notifications on, hit that subscribe button. You can join the discussion, chat with us live, get notified when we're going live on YouTube. We love to see and talk about the comments coming our way. And Gil, luckily for the Packers, they advanced to 3-1-1, albeit it wasn't a dominant win that we were all hoping for last week, but a win regardless. And now it's like the big thing now looking forward, where it's like you don't want to be playing your best football in October. You want to be playing your best football in November and December. But before that, the NFL trade deadline's coming up. And there's been some chatter this week about the Packers possibly having some guys who teams are trying to fish for. Rashawn Gary is supposedly getting some interest from the San Francisco 49ers. Please don't trade him there. Absolutely not. Romeo Doubs has been generating a lot of interest since training camp. Kingsley Enagbare is reportedly generating interest. Dontavian Wicks, Christian Watson, the list goes on and on. And Gil, let me ask you this, just to start out the show real quick, before we get into the Arizona matchup. Should the Packers consider trading Rashawn Gary or Romeo Doubs or Kingsley Enagbare or any of these guys who are essentially kind of being talked about in these rumors right now?
The only one of the guys that you mentioned that I would seriously consider trading is Wicks. And I'm not thrilled with the idea of trading Wicks, but look, Romeo Doubs has been the most reliable receiver all year that the Packers have had.
Yep.
I don't want to be trading him. And he also has great chemistry with Jordan Love. So, getting rid of him, I don't think makes a lot of sense. With the injury to Lucas Van Ness, I don't think you want to trade Rashawn Gary or Kingsley Enagbare right now. The timing just isn't good. And the idea of having both Gary and Micah Parsons rushing off the edge gives the Packers such a big advantage. I don't want to give that up. To me, Dontavian Wicks, I wouldn't be eager to trade him, but out of the guys you named, if you get Christian Watson back in the next 2 weeks, eventually you're going to get Jaden Reed back as well, hopefully. I think you would have enough depth at wide receiver where you could afford to trade Dontavian Wicks. And the thing about Wicks, I like him. I think he's got a lot of potential, but the consistency just over the course of his career hasn't always been there. So out of the guys you mentioned, that's who I would probably be willing to trade. What are your thoughts?
Well, with Kingsley Enagbare, it's interesting because he gets traded. They feel good about Barron Sorrell getting more snaps. That's a big factor. But also, you drafted Colin Oliver he's specifically a pass rusher. That's that's the top of his game. That's the best part about his game, is being able to rush off the edge. But he's been hurt all training camp, and he's been hurt all year. He may just be taking a redshirt year. So Kingsley Enagbare, I'm a little hesitant unless you get a really good offer that essentially it's like, okay, like we drafted this guy in round 5 and we're getting a round 4 offer. Yeah, we're going to take this. That's good ROI right there. Dontavian Wicks, with him, his hands have been awesome this year. He has been really, really good when it comes to catching the ball. He's just making the basic play, and it's come a lot easier. I think he's shown a lot of growth and improvement. Rashawn Gary, you only consider trading him if you're getting a first-round pick in return and if it's to an AFC team. I am not trading anything to the San Francisco 49ers. Absolutely.
No.
They obviously, Nick Bosa, he's done for the year. Fred Warner, he's done for the year. They need guys on that defensive line. They need guys on that defense in general. But no way am I trading Rashawn Gary to a team that has just had your number for so long. No way I'm helping them at all. Romeo Doubs, though, Gil, it's two-part with me, where he has been the most reliable red zone target for sure, and most reliable target for Jordan Love in the passing game, probably outside of Tucker Kraft. He's in a contract year, though. If you get offered a day 2 pick, and if Matthew Golden continues to improve the way we've seen him improve every week, and Christian Watson gets back into the fold, and he becomes that deep threat and becomes that vertical threat and shows that he's a really good run blocker still on the edge, then I would consider it. But again, it's like it's got to be where Matthew Golden's got to continue to show improvement and grow, and you got to get a day 2 pick at worst.
At worst. And, the big question with Doubs is he back next year? And I think it's the same with Enigbare, really. Both of these guys are in the last years of their contract. I don't expect either one to necessarily be back. Maybe one. I mean, I've heard rumors, there are we're going to trade Romeo Doubs rumors, and then there's we're interested in re-signing Romeo Doubs rumors. And I think both could be true, depending on what the offers are, what the money, what the term is. I think both of those things could simultaneously be true. But if you're going to lose guys like Doubs and Enigbare for nothing at the end of the year, although you will get, the supplemental pick because of losing a free agent.
Correct.
But, under those circumstances, better to, get something for them if the offer is substantial.
And Romeo Doubs is the one that seems to be gaining the most traction on the trade market. Easton Butler, a Packer report, he's a really good follow on Twitter. I highly recommend following him. He was very much on top of Micah Parsons to Green Bay being a legit possibility when we didn't think it would be before the trade actually happened. But he has been on it with Doubs, where he essentially said before the Jaden Reed injury, this is according to him, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, the Giants, Raiders, Carolina, New England, and San Francisco all called the Packers about a possible trade for Doubs. And then since the Jaden Reed injury, it's Pittsburgh, the Giants, and Jacksonville. They are the teams still calling the Packers about Romeo Doubs. Now, there was that little bit of gossip, a little bit of rumor this offseason during training camp that Aaron Rodgers wants Romeo Doubs in Pittsburgh, which is a very interesting situation. Now, with Pittsburgh coming up within the next 10 days, I don't see that trade happening, and especially because it's before the trade deadline. But that's an interesting factor. But the thing is with the Steelers, though, I doubt they would give up a decent draft pick because they just paid DK Metcalf a ton of money and gave up really good draft capital to get him this offseason too. But that'd be fascinating if Doubs did wind up reuniting with Aaron Rodgers.
And ironic, since Rodgers was so not thrilled with all the young pass catchers his final year in Green Bay. But
young guys grow, Gil. Young guys grow.
He's not so young anymore, right? He's at the end of that first contract. And yeah, I mean, look, it would be very strange facing Romeo Doubs and Aaron Rodgers in 10 days, as you said, or 2 weeks. That would be very, very bizarre. But look, the thing about the NFL trade deadline is there's a lot more buzz than actual moves that end up getting made.
Always.
So when in doubt, I would tend to think the Packers are not going to make a trade, but you never know.
It's a lot like, we're essentially the NBA trade deadline. Typically, every team, except for maybe one or two teams, makes a trade every year at the NBA trade deadline. Maybe every team, except for two teams, don't make a trade at the NFL trade deadline every year. It's like it's totally reversed. But there's a lot of chatter. There's a lot more chatter than there used to be, and it makes for a lot more enticing headlines. But it's not really a transactional league. People actually like to watch football and really watch and get into the games more so than the transactional side of the NFL. Let's get into the Packers, though. Let's get into their weekend matchup, and heading into their weekend matchup, the injury report that we gotta let you fine folks know about real quick. So far, not practicing this week includes kicker Brandon McManus, who's dealing with that right quad issue. Didn't play on Sunday against Cincinnati. Luckily, Lucas Havlicek was money all day on Sunday. He was fantastic. Maybe they keep him out another week. Defensive end Lucas Van Ness, he had that sack against Cincinnati on Sunday, but then he was carted off moments after that with a foot injury. Not very promising. Devontae White still dealing with the knee issue. He was out against Cincinnati on Sunday. Matt LaFleur said recently he's more week to week, but he seems to be trending in the right direction. Probably doesn't sound like he's going to play this week, especially with him not practicing so far this week. Limited so far this week. That includes Aaron Banks, Anthony Belton, Josh Jacobs. Banks played the entire game on Sunday after missing the Dallas game. Belton has missed the last couple of games with an ankle issue, was a DNP all last week. He's been limited this week. Good news to hear that he's making progress. Jacobs still dealing with an illness. Said he threw up before, during, and after Sunday's win against Cincinnati. So a little bug that he just can't seem to shake. Jacob Monk obviously is designated to return from the IR. Jordan Morgan dealing with a shoulder. Dontavian Wicks also limited. Left Sunday's game with an ankle injury. He's been limited this week. And then Christian Watson still working his way back from the IR. And Zach Tom, good news there, Gil, still dealing with his oblique injury, but he's limited today after he was a DNP on Wednesday. And then full participants this week, Warren Brinson, Javon Bullard, Matthew Golden. They've been full and present, even though they have some injuries and nicks and bruises. Worth noting, Jordan Love removed from the injury report. Very good news for the Green Bay Packers, Gil.
Yeah, it is very good news. And I got to give a shout out to Zach Tom. I mean, he says he actually blacked out, does not remember.
Unreal.
The second half of the game. And I will say that I would not be averse to letting him sit another week in order to get him healthier, because we need Zach Tom more come November, December than we need him right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I will give him credit. The guy just got paid a ton of money, a month ago, a couple months ago, and he is fighting through a nasty injury, a nasty injury on a play that was essentially nullified because of penalty. Think about that, where that's just how infuriating that is, where it's like a play that didn't even count and he got injured on that, making an effort, making a hustle play. And he's still trying to play. He knows how important he is to this football team, which I truly do appreciate from Zach Tom. But yeah, I hope he's healthy enough to go on Sunday, Gil. He's obviously makes the Green Bay Packers so much better.
He really does. And we'll see what happens. But, the Packers always have the longest. You always start with the Packers injury list, and I'm afraid we'll run out of time by the time we're through with it. So.
Oh, yeah. And, hey, this is, again, I think this is just the Packers just over-reporting, making sure they don't get in any trouble with the league. That's the last thing they want. Hey, let's get into the matchup this weekend. They're playing the Arizona Cardinals, the 2-4 Arizona Cardinals. That record is extremely misleading, though. All four of Arizona's losses this year by 4 or fewer points, Gil. They are in every single game. But let's break it down real quick. The Cardinals offense against the Packers defense. So far this season, Arizona on offense. They're the 22nd ranked offense in the NFL. Tied for 20th in scoring, tied for 24th in passing, 17th in rushing. Green Bay's defense, 5th overall in the NFL this year. 10th in scoring, 11th against the pass, and number 1 still against the run. Gil, what's a matchup that we got to look forward to between the Cardinals and the Packers? The Cardinals offense, the Packers defense. A Cardinals offense that may or may not have Kyler Murray at quarterback again this weekend.
Yeah, that's sort of a big difference maker. And, the shocking thing, I looked at the numbers. Kyler Murray leads the team in rushing as well as passing.
He sure does.
Tells you something about their running game, although their injuries are a part of that. But one matchup I'm looking at is Marvin Harrison Jr., who is kind of their deep threat against Keyshawn Nixon, the Packers CB1.
Yeah, that's an interesting matchup, Gil. Marvin Harrison, obviously, my Buckeye fandom. I enjoyed him thoroughly at Ohio State. He was a great player. I think there's a better receiver at Ohio State right now in Jeremiah Smith, who's going to be a stud in the NFL. Unbelievable talent. But we're not here to talk about Ohio State football. But Marvin Harrison Jr., he is very talented. 4th overall pick a couple of years ago. But, man, when he struggles, he struggles. And Keyshawn Nixon, he has 9 pass breakups this year on defense for the Packers. That's number 2 in the NFL, Gil. He's doing his job. He wanted to be cornerback 1 going into this season, and he's proving that he can live up to that. And Marvin Harrison Jr., this is a guy where he's still young, and it just seems like it's all in his head sometimes. He has struggled a lot with drops and just miscommunication with his quarterback and just not really being on the same page with the offense in general. And Keyshawn Nixon, he he starts this game hot and you take Marvin Harrison Jr. out of the game right away, that's a huge factor.
It is, because he's their deep threat, and that you want to neutralize that as best you can. It was interesting, though, because last week they kind of picked on Keyshawn Nixon a little bit. And look, I don't think Nixon played badly, but boy, Jamar Chase. I mean,
I think like you said, you were just going that way. I think Jamar Chase is just phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, dominant.
Yeah. And I thought last week where it's like I think the Packers, they tried some new things. They kind of got dangerously close to the sun, per se, where they were, I think, trying to see how Nixon would do on an island against probably the best receiver in football. And it went to show where it's like, hey, we probably needed more tight double coverage on that guy. You know, it was just Jamar Chase is so good. I think Nixon can handle Marvin Harrison. I do. And last year when these two teams met, remember Marvin Harrison, he only played a drive or two, and then he left the game with a concussion. He's also dealing with a concussion issue right now this week in practice. So we may not see this matchup, but it's very interesting. Gil, the matchup though I'm looking forward to, I'm going to Arizona's top pass catcher, and that's Trey McBride against the Packers safeties, against Evan Williams, Xavier McKinney, Javon Bullard, assuming he plays. Trey McBride is the guy in the passing game. And if Jacoby Brissett's starting at quarterback instead of Kyler Murray, Trey McBride's going to get a lot of opportunities in this game. He leads the team with 37 catches, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns. 20 of those catches have gone for first down. He leads the team in all those categories. Second amongst NFL tight ends and receptions behind Dallas's Jake Ferguson, who had a very good game against this Packer defense a few weeks ago. And second in yards behind Indy's Tyler Warren amongst all NFL tight ends. He's the guy where you gotta slow him down. You got to take him out of the game for Arizona to essentially not have a chance in this one.
Yeah, and I think that you know, nobody likes to throw deep against the Packers because of Xavier McKinney, but Trey McBride is the guy who keeps the chains moving for the Cardinals. And he's their bread and butter guy. You've got to be able to slow him down. He may not be catching the ball 25 yards down the field, but on 3rd and 5, he's going to get you 7. And whether it's Evan Williams, Javon Bullard, or Xavier McKinney, or maybe even Edgerrin Cooper, somebody's got to be able to slow down Trey McBride.
And McBride last year against the Packer defense, and that the Packers beat Arizona 34-13. Last year, around this time of year, oddly enough, McBride had 8 catches, 96 yards, didn't get in the end zone. He got very close multiple times. That's kind of the story of Trey McBride. Anyone who plays fantasy football knows that, where the guy is so close to getting in the end zone so many times, but he never scores touchdowns, which is that's what you need, Gil. That's what you need on the fantasy side of things.
It kills you.
Oh, absolutely. Just getting down to the 1 yard line. I mean, that happened to Tucker Kraft a couple times against Dallas a few weeks ago, too. So Totally understand the frustration. Now, let's move on. Let's flip sides of the ball for both these teams. The Packers offense and the Cardinals defense. Green Bay's offense, well, Gil, they're getting better. They are overall getting better. Total offense this year, 9th overall in the league. Arizona, 24th in total defense. Green Bay's offense, they're 8th in scoring, 10th in passing, 12th in rushing. The rushing number, that's the one that keeps ticking upwards and trending in the positive direction. That's a very good thing for Green Bay. Arizona's defense, they're 14th in scoring, 28th against the pass, 13th against the run. So, Gil, Arizona's defense, they are structured where Jonathan Gannon's the head coach. He's more of a defensive mind, even though he's not the guy who calls the plays on defense. But Arizona does a good job keeping games close on defense. They're not the greatest defense, but they keep it tight. What's a matchup that we should be focusing on between the Packers offense and the Cardinals defense?
Well, there's 2 pass rushers that I'm concerned about as far as the Arizona Cardinals are concerned. You've got Sweat on the outside and Calais Campbell on the inside. And protecting Jordan Love is vital because, look, let's face this. The Cardinals secondary has given up a lot of yardage. Their pass defense is not ranked very high. The run defense is the better of the 2 units so far this season. If Jordan Love has time to throw, he should be successful against this secondary. The concern is, how good will Zach Tom be? How long will he play? Rasheed Walker has played through some injuries. How well will Jordan Morgan hold up if he's going up against Calais Campbell? There's a lot of questions here, but if you protect Jordan Love, you open up things for the passing game.
Josh Sweat, he came over from the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, previously played for Jonathan Gannon in Philadelphia when Gannon was the D coordinator before he got the Arizona head coaching job. And Arizona, as a team this year, only 11 sacks this season in 6 games. Kind of underwhelming, but Josh Sweat has 5 of those sacks. He leads the team with 6 tackles for loss as well. Josh Sweat is Arizona's game record, Gil. I mean,
yeah,
the Packers, you've seen Aiden Hutchinson in Detroit. You've seen Myles Garrett. You've seen Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, you better have a good plan to make sure Sweat doesn't take over this game on Sunday.
Yeah, he is dangerous. And then when you combine that with Calais Campbell coming in from the inside, he's experienced, he is smart, and, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch at rushing the quarterback. They only have 11 sacks, but they do get some pressures. And again, Jordan Love did a great job last week of stepping up, knowing when to run, and then running effectively.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that was missing last year when he was playing hurt. I want to see more of that if necessary this week, because again, the offensive line is not 100%, and keeping Jordan Love clean to me is the linchpin for the offense.
Jordan Love just looks so much healthier. You could you could tell that knee injury in Brazil was much worse than what we thought. And I thought that too, where, I mean, again, it's like us watching last year, we watch every Packer game so intently and so close. And you can just tell where it's like, he wasn't stepping into throws. He wasn't looking to run. And now he's got the silly body, but man, like, he's looking to run a little more. He's looking to do whatever he can to move the sticks, to keep the ball moving forward. And Jordan Love is the guy that I'm looking forward to watching against safeties Dadrian Taylor-Demerson and Budda Baker, as well as Jalen Thompson too. Packers and the Cardinals defensively, they're very similar, where they like to have 3 safeties on the field with those 3 guys. And Jordan Love last year against Arizona, that was probably his best game of the year last year against the Cardinals, where he was 22-32, threw just under 260 yards, had 4 touchdowns. He did have an interception, but remember that one interception was because Bo Melton slipped on his route.
Yep,
and that's where the interception, where you couldn't even put that on. You couldn't put that on Jordan Love. Jordan Love played a phenomenal game against this Arizona defense last year. Now, obviously, you're not in Lambeau, you're in Arizona, so it's gonna be a little different. But Dadrian Taylor-Demerson is a solid player at safety. He's a second-year player, fourth round pick. He's off to a nice start to his second year. He was in the 4th round also with Packers safety Evan Williams. So 2 pretty good safeties picked right there in 2024, Gil. 2 interceptions this year. That's tied for 5th in the NFL. Again, Taylor-Demerson, Baker, Jalen Thompson, they play a lot of snaps together. Budda Baker is, anyone who follows football knows how good he is. 41 total tackles this year, tackle for loss, couple pass breakups. He's been a stud for a long time in this league. But man, Jordan Love is really coming into his own, Gil, though. He's tied for 8th in the NFL in completion percentage. He's top 10 in passing yards per game. He's top 5 in passer rating this year. He had the silly interception against Cincinnati on Sunday, but you got to make sure that if you're Jordan Love, you got to key on these Arizona safeties to get a win on Sunday.
Yeah, that is the strength of their secondary, and it'll be an interesting matchup. I wonder whether they'll attack those safeties with Tucker Kraft or avoid him a little bit more as a result of these matchups.
You wonder if Christian Watson gets activated right before game day. I think the Packers really wanted to play. Matt LaFleur even said he's looked great in 11-on-11s this week. I think there's a definite chance that he could be back, but I don't know. I still think the Packers are going to use the entire 21-day practice window before they activate him. I'd love to see him back. But maybe with Pittsburgh coming up, Arizona's field isn't usually the best in terms of field conditions. And then Pittsburgh the next week is also terrible. Remember, if anyone who watched the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game this past weekend, Chris Boswell, who's really a really great kicker, and he lost his footing because it was essentially playing on like a high school field at best. And even Aaron Rodgers was critical of it afterwards. I don't know if Christian Watson's going to be given the green light yet. Maybe they wait until he gets back to Lambeau in a few weeks.
Yeah, and I think also with Christian Watson, you're eager to get him back. But again, caution is sometimes the smarter move. You want him for the long haul, not just for the short haul. And I think being patient and giving him as much time. These games on the schedule, not to disrespect the Arizona Cardinals, but the schedule gets harder as the year goes on.
Yeah.
So I want Watson available Thanksgiving when we're playing Detroit. I'd rather him miss this game and be healthier for Detroit than the other way around.
R. Showers chiming in on the chat real quick saying, do you think they might deal Dobbs with Watson due back? We did talk about this earlier in the episode. You can rewind it later. Mr. Showers, I'm just going to call you Mr. Showers. You didn't give a first name, so I got to give that. But
you're not going to call him R?
I was saying earlier, yeah, exactly. But I was saying earlier, though, I think it's two-part, more so my opinion, where I think it's like the only way the Packers move him is if Matthew Golden continues to improve, if Watson looks like he's back to his old self, and if the Packers get a day 2 offer. I think a lot of things have to fall in place for them to move off of Romeo Dobbs coming up in a few weeks. That's okay. Hey, you missed the start. It's totally all right.
All good.
Everyone's busy. I get it. Hey, we got busy lives going on. Real quick, before we get to some predictions, Gil, let's go over some stats and figures real quick. Turnover ratio this year, the Packers -1. They only have 3 giveaways this year in 5 games, but they've only generated 2 turnovers. That's been a bit of a problem to start the season. Xavier McKinney's not picking off every pass this year to start off the season this year. The Cardinals, they are at 0. 7 takeaways on defense, but also they've given away the ball quite a bit with 7 giveaways on offense this year. Penalties, Packers, they are tied for 13th fewest in penalties this season in the NFL, but they played 1 fewer game than a lot of these teams, so it's kind of a misleading stat. But, hey, no pre-snap penalties on offense they had this past Sunday. That's progress, baby. That's progress. Arizona tied for 9th most in penalties this year. Third downs, Green Bay. Been one of the best in third down on offense and defense. Number 1 in the league on third down offense, number 6 in third down defense. Arizona is pretty darn good on third down as well. 6th in the league on offense and 7th on defense. And then red zone touchdown percentage. Green Bay's offense has been getting better and better, tied for 6th in the league in red zone touchdown percentage. 23rd, though, on defense, a number that's kind of fallen off a little bit. Arizona, 19th in red zone offense. Their defense, 13th in the league. And then the Cardinals injury report real quick. We'll just run through this real quick. A couple DNPs so far this week for them include running back Amari DeMercado and wide receiver Zay Jones. Limited this week, wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr., quarterback Kyler Murray, who missed last week. Harrison dealing with that concussion so far this week. Defensive lineman Walter Nolan III, who was the first-round pick in this past draft. He's been designated to return off the PUP list. Unsure if he will be playing on Sunday. And defensive lineman Darius Robinson, a first-round pick from 2024. And then full participants, these guys were all limited on Wednesday, all full so far as of Thursday, limited on Wednesday, again, full on Thursday. Linebacker Akeem Davis-Gaither, safety Dadrian Taylor-Demerson, and wide receiver Michael Wilson. And then Arizona's got a lot of guys on the IR, the non-football injury list, and the PUP list. That includes running back Trey Benson, running back James Conner, defensive lineman Justin Jones, punter Blake Gillikin, corner Sean Murphy-Bunting, and outside linebacker B.J. Ojolari. So a lot of injuries right now for the Arizona Cardinals. That's just a war of attrition, man. That's football for you.
It is.
Gil, I'm getting a little tired talking, so I'm going to let you take this real quick. Why does Green Bay win on Sunday?
Green Bay wins on Sunday if they protect Jordan Love and do not lose the turnover battle. They are the better team. If they don't beat themselves, they should win this football game. Be efficient, be smart, and do not turn the ball over.
For me, I think number 1 is definitely protect Jordan Love. He's playing really good football, and you protect him, and you got a heck of a shot to get on the road and get a victory. But also keep the foot on the gas, man. The Packers are double digits in every single game this year. Arizona has kept games close. You get a double-digit lead on this team, you got to be able to make sure you maintain that lead all the way until the clock hits 0 at the end of the fourth quarter. Why does Green Bay lose?
Green Bay loses if they give up too many big plays on defense and if they turn the ball over too often.
I think it's going to be if the O-line can't protect, defense doesn't generate any turnovers, and the Packers don't bring their own juice, very similar to Cleveland in week 3. Those are the biggest factors. Don't let Arizona hang around. Don't let them hang around. This is I know it's a 2-4 football team, Gil, but they're a much better football team than you think. And 3 of those 4 losses have come on last-second field goals, too. So they've had a lot of bad luck. Universe tends to balance itself out. Hopefully it doesn't happen on Sunday for the Cardinals.
Yeah, they're better than their record. We'll find out how much better. But the Packers, I think, are better than their record, too. They just have to play up to that level.
got to play your best football as the year goes on. Well, you don't want to be playing your best football right now. But, Gil, what's your prediction for Sunday?
I think the Packers win it. I think the Cardinals will keep it relatively close. I see it as 27-20 Green Bay.
I think it's going to be a little tighter. And the Packers scoring 27, I feel like you could just pencil that in.
Yes.
Because they've scored 27 in 3 games this year. So, yeah, I think it's going to be
I'm on the bandwagon, Yeah.
I don't know if there's some if you're Vegas, man, you put the over-under 26.5, man. That's like with the Packers, honestly, for how many they score specifically. I think the Packers win 27-23. I do think the Cardinals keep it close, but the Packers are able to hold them off for sure. So, articles coming up at Packers Post, Cheesehead TV before this weekend's Tilt in the Desert, Gil.
On the Packers Post, I talked a little bit about what the return of Devontae Wyatt will mean. It hasn't happened yet. I'm hoping he'll be available on Sunday, but he has really made a big impact on this defense. And then for Cheesehead TV, I asked the question, is receiver by committee best for this Green Bay Packers offense?
Man, I'm telling you, though, the strides that Matthew Golden has made, he's kind of becoming your third down guy. Romeo Dobbs is like your red zone guy, but I feel like Matthew Golden's becoming your third down gotta have it guy. It's a very interesting approach if the Packers continue with the receiver by committee approach. And then what you're saying with Devontae Wyatt, hey, these other D linemen, they got an opportunity to show what they got and to learn how to play without him. Devontae Wyatt should only be a positive whenever he comes back.
Absolutely.
Gil, you ready for some trivia to wrap up?
I am ready for the trivia.
All right, sounds good. Well, the Packers, they're heading to the desert this weekend to take on an Arizona Cardinals team that appears due for a victory. Hopefully the Packers win and improve to 4-1-1. It'd make us Packer fans happy, but also make for a happy homecoming for 2 current Green Bay Packers with ties to the Grand Canyon State. Gil, which 2 current Packers previously played college football in the state of Arizona?
Well, the easy one is Jordan Morgan. So,
ding, ding, ding. Yep, I knew you get that. The other one's a pull. The other one is tough. And if anyone who's watching with us on YouTube or in the chat right now, if they know this without Googling it, you can't Google it. Good luck, because this is a pull.
No hand. No hand.
I had to look deep into this before I even knew the answer.
Boy. I am not going to get the second one.
It's a defensive player, it's a defensive back, and it's cornerback Keyshawn Nixon. So, as you noted, Jordan Morgan played at Arizona. Keyshawn Nixon was at Arizona Western College. Morgan's the easy one to remember. Tucson-born Packer offensive lineman, was the Packers' first-round pick out of Arizona in the 2024 NFL Draft. But Nixon began his collegiate career in the junior college rankings at Arizona Western College in Yuma, Arizona. Played JUCO ball for the 2015 and 16 seasons. He recorded 11 interceptions and 9 pass breakups in those 2 seasons. He also had a couple kick returns for touchdowns in his final year at Arizona Western. Go figure. He's been an all-pro a couple times as a kick return in the NFL before he transferred across the country to the University of South Carolina. So, yeah, Gil, that was a hard one. I'll give that. If you knew that, I would have been like, man, like I can't get anything by you.
Yeah, no, that was a tough one. That was a good question too.
But now we know for future trivia, though. Now you know for future trivia. So that's good news. But hey, Packers 3-1-1, Cardinals 2-4. They They kick off on Sunday at 3:25 p.m. Central Time. The Bucks open up next week. I got basketball in the mind too. So it's sports. The Packers are always number one, but it's always it just controls my life too much, Gil.
No doubt about that. And look, here's the other thing that I just want to put out there. The Packers and the Cardinals have had some really strange things happen in some of the games that they've played over the years. Some big scoring games,
especially in Glendale.
So you don't know what to expect out there on Sunday.
I just want to win. I don't want to shave off any years off my life, Gil. I just
too late.
Get in, get out. Yeah, it's too late. It drives me bonkers. It never changes.
Yeah, but enjoy the ride. That's the bottom line. Enjoy the ride.
Absolutely.
So 3:25 Central Time, 4:25 Eastern Time, and we can go through all the time zones. But looking forward to Sunday's game, and I think 27, right? That's the magic number.
Get to 27. I mean, heck, get to their opponent outside of Dallas. Like, nobody has scored more than 18 points on the Packers defense this year. Get to 20. Get to 20, but make sure you have the ball at the end and make sure you hold that lead. If it's 21-18, just make sure you have the ball at the end and make sure Arizona doesn't touch the ball at the end. But yeah, Kyler Murray, Jacoby Brissett, I don't care who's starting at quarterback. Just take care of business, Gil. Exactly. Take care of business. Let's get out of there with a win. Let's get our first true road win of the season coming up.
Yeah, got to be road warriors this week. That is the goal. All right, well, that is it for today. We'll be right back here next week. Follow us on Twitter at GilPackers and at GBPackersSean to stay up to date on all things Packers or to ask us questions. Or you can email us at gbpackerssean@gmail.com. Make sure you're subscribed to Packers Talk on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. Subscribe here on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Big thanks to PackersTalk.com for powering our show, and thank you for listening. Until next time, go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.